Have you ever wondered about a single moment in history that changed everything? A battle so monumental it echoed through centuries, shaping empires and defining the world as we know it. Today, we're diving deep into one such event, the Battle of Cannae. This wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a clash of titans, a collision of military genius and sheer force that shook the ancient world to its very core. The year is to 16 BC. The stage is set in southern Italy. On one side, we have the mighty Roman Republic, a rising power with a seemingly inexhaustible supply of soldiers, disciplined and fighting on their home turf. On the other, the Carthaginian army, led by one of the most brilliant military commanders in history, Hannibal Barca. Hannibal had done the impossible. He had crossed the treacherous Alps with his army, including his famed war elephants, and had been rampaging through Italy for 2 years, handing the Romans defeat after defeat. But Rome was resilient. They had raised their largest army ever, a force of nearly 86,000 men, determined to crush Hannibal once and for all. Their plan was simple: overwhelm the smaller Carthaginian force with sheer numbers. The Roman consuls, Varro and Paulus, were confident. How could they not be? They outnumbered Hannibal almost 2-1. They believed this would be the final, decisive battle that would end the Punic threat forever. They were right about it being decisive, but not in the way they imagined. The battlefield was a flat, open plain near the Aufidus River, seemingly perfect for the Romans to deploy their massive infantry legions. The Romans arranged their forces in a traditional, deep formation. Their plan was to punch straight through the Carthaginian center, breaking their line and creating chaos. It was a strategy based on brute strength, a human battering ram. Hannibal, however, was a master of psychology and strategy. He knew he couldn't win a head-on fight. He had to outthink the Romans, not just outfight them. His army was a mix of soldiers from different lands: Iberians, Gauls, and his elite African veterans. He needed a plan that played to their strengths and exploited Roman predictability. And what he came up with was a stroke of pure genius, a trap so elegant and deadly it's still studied in military academies today. As the sun rose on that fateful day, the air thick with tension, Hannibal ranged his line in a completely unconventional way. Instead of a straight line, he pushed his center forward, creating a crescent shape that bulged out towards the Romans. His weakest troops, the Gauls and Iberians, were placed in this vulnerable-looking center. On the flanks, he positioned his best soldiers, the battle-hardened African infantry. And on the far wings, his superior cavalry, commanded by his brother Hasdrubal. To the Roman commanders, it must have looked like a mistake. The Carthaginian center seemed weak, an invitation to attack. And the Romans took the bait. The trumpets blared, and the legions marched forward, a sea of shields and spears, crashing into the Carthaginian crescent. At first, everything went according to the Roman plan. Their heavy infantry smashed into the Gallic and Iberian center. The Carthaginian line bent, it buckled, and it began to fall back. The Romans surged forward, smelling victory. They pushed deeper and deeper into the bulge, which was now inverting, becoming a pocket. The Roman soldiers, packed shoulder to shoulder, lost their cohesion as they funneled into the trap. They thought they were winning, but they were walking into a death zone. This was exactly what Hannibal had planned. He was conducting his army like a symphony of destruction. As his center slowly retreated, his elite African infantry on the flanks, which had been held in reserve, wheeled inward. They slammed into the exposed sides of the dense Roman formation, which was now too crowded to effectively fight back. Simultaneously, a separate battle was raging on the wings. Hannibal's superior Carthaginian cavalry, led by Hasdrubal, shattered their Roman counterparts. But instead of chasing them off the field, they executed a brilliant maneuver. They rode around the back of the entire Roman army, attacking the remaining Roman cavalry from behind, and then crashing into the rear of the Roman legions. The trap was sprung. The Roman army was now completely surrounded. What was once an organized fighting force had become a panicked mob, trapped on all sides. The crescent had become a circle of death. The Romans were so tightly packed they could barely lift their arms to swing their swords. The slaughter that followed was unimaginable. For hours, the Carthaginians methodically cut down the entrapped Romans. There was no escape. By the end of the day, the fields of Cannae were soaked in blood. The Roman army had been annihilated. Sources vary, but it's estimated that between 50,000 and 70,000 Roman soldiers were killed, including one of the consuls, Lucius Aemilius Paulus, and 80 senators. It was one of the single deadliest days of battle in human history. Hannibal had lost only around 6,000 men. It was a tactical masterpiece, a perfect victory that should have spelled the end for Rome. News of the disaster sent shockwaves through the city. Panic erupted. The gates were barred. The people believed Hannibal and his army would be at their doorstep any moment. Many of Rome's allies in Italy defected to Hannibal's side. The Republic was on its knees, seemingly broken beyond repair. Hannibal's top general, Maharbal, famously told him, "You know how to win a victory, Hannibal, but you do not know how to use one." He urged Hannibal to march on Rome itself. But Hannibal didn't march on Rome. Historians have debated why for centuries. Did he lack the siege equipment? Was his army too exhausted? Or did he believe Rome would sue for peace? Whatever the reason, this decision may have been his greatest mistake. Because while Hannibal had broken Rome's army, he had not broken its spirit. Instead of surrendering, the Romans did something extraordinary. They refused to negotiate. They mourned their dead, but they did not despair. They went into total mobilization, levying new legions, even enlisting slaves and criminals. They adopted a new strategy, the Fabian strategy, named after Quintus Fabius Maximus. It involved avoiding direct battle with Hannibal at all costs, instead harassing his supply lines and slowly wearing him down. It was a war of attrition. Rome's immense manpower and resources meant they could afford to lose battles, but Hannibal could not afford to lose the war. Cannae was the high point of Hannibal's campaign. He would remain in Italy for another decade, a constant threat, but he would never again achieve such a stunning victory. Rome, hardened by the disaster, slowly but surely regained the upper hand. They took the fight to Carthage's home turf in Africa, forcing Hannibal to return to defend his city. The final showdown came at the Battle of Zama, where the Roman general Scipio Africanus, having studied Hannibal's tactics, defeated him using his own strategies against him. The Second Punic War ended with a Roman victory. Carthage was stripped of its empire and forced into a humiliating peace. Rome, forged in the fires of its near destruction at Cannae, emerged stronger than ever. The battle that was meant to destroy them ultimately ensured their destiny. It cleared the way for Rome to dominate the Mediterranean and build an empire that would last for 1,000 years and shape the course of Western civilization. The Battle of Cannae remains a testament to the power of strategy over strength, of genius over numbers. It's a story of incredible victory and tragic missed opportunity. It shows us how a single day can redefine the future of nations, and how even in the face of utter catastrophe, resilience and determination can lead to ultimate triumph. The world we live in today was profoundly shaped by the bloody events on that field in southern Italy over 2,000 years ago. What do you think? If Hannibal had marched on Rome, would history have turned out differently? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the ancient world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into history's most pivotal moments. See you next time.